Final hour OverDrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, Jamie Noodles, McLennan, the O-Dog, off doing some panel work. Mike Johnson on the panel tonight. Johnny will be in studio in about a half an hour. Jonas Siegel coming up from Scotiabank Arena, where I was supposed to go to the game, right? Yeah. I've been going to all of the Leaf home playoff games for years. I've been going. And over the last 2 years, they're 1-7 at home. And the only game I was not in the building for was Game 2 last year against Tampa. I don't even remember why I wasn't there.
And they won that game?
And they won that game.
Okay.
Yeah, they won that game.
Yeah.
They lost Game 1 badly. And then I had something prearranged, something going on where I knew I couldn't be in the building for that game.
Right.
And since then, this has taken on a life of its own because last year we had fun with it. I referenced it this year. I've been down to these games. I'm not going tonight. And I'm not going because it's my daughter's birthday. So I'm going home. I'm going to see her, have dinner with her, have birthday cake, all that. And then I'm coming back. I'm going to be in the studio tonight. So I'll be doing Sports Center, sitting down with Jay. But the way it works is the Leafs, assign you a place to sit.
Yeah.
And we gave them a heads up. I'm like, can you give them a heads up? Like, I can't make it down tonight. CJ, I guess, is in the building, and he just found this picture. That's where I usually sit. The Brian Hayes TSN card is still there. And now he posted that, and people are like, are you lying?
Yeah, the kiss of death.
And you're
right
actually
there.
going down. So I guess you'll have to find out based on the way the result works out tonight.
Yeah.
No answers. Am I going to be there? Is Matthews actually playing tonight? See if Jonas can give us an answer or two on that coming up. Mike Johnson later in the hour.
I think, listen, I was being a conspiracy theorist.
With Matthews skating this morning,
looked
good.
All right. I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to play. But the walk-in is curious. Unless there is different entrances and stuff like that. But we all know everyone, like reporters and that, they watch everybody like a hawk. So you would spot him if he was around.
Yes, for sure. And how much time are they going to put into the deception and all that? But
I think he's not playing.
I would guess
obviously
he's not
it's been
playing.
Announced, but
that's what piques my interest more is the announcement,
right?
Because they did, to my knowledge, Game 5 they didn't prematurely announce he wasn't playing.
No, he waited until they skated out.
We're going to see
Auston Matthews.
Yeah, and with Willie, even though I'm pretty sure they knew every game he wasn't playing, they knew at the morning skate. They'd always say he's a possibility for us tonight. We'll see. And then the pregame would start. Willie wouldn't be out there. Everyone would announce he's not playing. This time, Sheldon said Matthews is out tonight.
Right.
That's what piques my interest more.
Right.
About, like, why would you announce it when you don't have to? Why not just say, hey, he's a possibility. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, I guess we won't find out for another 90 minutes. The pregame skate won't start for 90 minutes.
There could be a sighting. That's my point.
Is he in there? Is he because he tapes his sticks? He might walk out of the tunnel. It's possible. All right, before we get to Jonas here, why don't we do a three-pack, listed here, 3 things the Leafs have to do to win. You have more of a macro level, bigger picture stuff. I got micro, a little bit more specific. Why don't you start with your 3-pack?
All right.
Or I can go first, whatever you want.
Why don't you go first, because I've got to pull it up on my list.
Okay, why don't I go first? A quick 3-pack. I'm going to start at number 3.
Okay.
Mitch Marner, William Nylander have to have their best game of the series. Yep. Collectively, the two of them. I thought Willie was better in Game 5 than he was in Game 4. But if Matthews isn't playing, and again, that's been announced, I really like Mitch Marner's game in Game 5. Love this game. He's got to be that much better tonight. He's got to lead the charge.
Right.
Matthews isn't there anymore. It's Marner. It's Willie. Those two are in their primes. Those two are the best players for the Leafs. I think specifically Marner and Nylander should take responsibility for that power play. It's your power play.
Right.
Everything runs through the two of you. Get on the board. Get that place rocking tonight. Marner, Nylander, 2 best Leafs tonight. They have to be just that.
Okay.
Number 2, let Brad Marchand sleep.
Yeah.
Let him sleep. Now, he's going to probably be awake anyway.
Right.
But if he's awake, let him stay where he's awake. Don't let him jump through.
Yeah, don't get him to that next level.
Don't get him to that next level, because if he gets to that next level, you're gonna be in trouble.
Right.
Like the way this guy's capable of playing, the way he's capable of dragging his team into the fight. Let him play the way he played the other night.
Right.
But if he is going to challenge you, be right there and be willing to face it. Don't run from it necessarily, but don't provoke it.
Yeah.
Don't go out of your way to slash him, hack him, cross-check him. He won't buy it. If anything, the whistle's going to go against you. Let Marchand sleep. And number one, this probably applies to preseason, regular season, postseason, Cup final, Game 7. Score first.
Right.
Like if you're the Leafs tonight and you have these demons at home, your fans, I don't know what to expect out of the energy tonight. I really,
Right.
if they were up 3-2, I would say this place would be going insane tonight.
Right.
But they're not. They're down 3-2. It is an elimination game that always leads to a little bit of a weird vibe walking in there knowing this could be it. But it's an 8 p.m. start, Thursday night, beautiful weather, patio night. This is usually the way you kickstart a weekend is on a Thursday night.
Right.
I think it'll be loud. If Matthews comes out, it will go nuts. But if they score first, that's big. You got to have a lead. They just haven't had the lead enough in this series.
Right.
Do what you did the other night. Get on the board first, set the tone. There's my three things for the Leafs in terms of a micro level. You got the macro.
Yeah,
picture. What do you
I
got?
went macro, and I started with emotion because I think emotion, I look at Boston. I think Boston had emotion, but they looked tight, and it paralyzed them. If you play with emotion in this building, high tempo, high speed, gets the crowd into it, success follows it. Now, you have to have controlled emotion. You don't go slashing players. That first game of the series, they were running around and almost a little bit too much, and then all of a sudden, Reeves goes for the extra hit, 2-on-1 in the back of the net. Mm-hmm. Controlled emotion, but you have to play with emotion. That's what's going to get you through. Secondly, we say it all the time, but it's goaltending. The other night, Joseph Woll played Swayman. They went head-to-head. They both were fantastic, but he made the extra save.
Yep.
Goaltending has to be a factor in a positive way for the Leafs to win tonight.
Ride that Joseph Woll miracle wave, man.
Yeah, and see what happens. And then number 3, special teams. You talked about, on the macro level or the micro level, just
Nylander, Marner on the power play.
Controlling that power play. But the penalty kill has to be good, too.
You got to be clean, I think, in the kill tonight.
Special teams are difference makers in the playoffs. So those are the 3 that I focused on. Emotion, goaltending, and special teams. If you win all 3 of those,
you're going to win the game
tonight. You got a good chance to win.
Yeah, absolutely. 8 p.m. puck drop tonight. Let's head down to Scotiabank. Here's our buddy Jonas Siegel of The Athletic. Jonas, what did you make of Sheldon Keefe deciding to announce Matthews is out as opposed to doing what he did earlier in the series with Nylander, where he kept saying, we'll see, we'll see. He even did that with Game 5 with Matthews. He's like, we'll find out tonight. But now all of a sudden, he makes that claim during the morning skate. Do you read anything into that, or are you taking that at face value?
I take it at face value. I kind of think they just decided we're going to stop being silly with this and stop trying to deny what's so obvious. When he's not out for the morning skate, it's not really hard to figure out. At least the game before, I guess it was kind of the same thing where he's on the ice briefly, and then but he hadn't missed a game at that point. And so I guess there's some gray as to maybe he comes and he feels fine. But I watched him at that skate before Game 5, and it just doesn't look like he can do that much. It looks like whatever the injury is, he didn't skate, he didn't really shoot. He just didn't do a lot of the things that would make you believe that he was close to playing. And so, I guess it's just at a point now where you just stop playing the game. They stopped that thing with Nylander halfway through the series where they weren't saying whether he was going to play, but they stopped playing the game of we're not going to update this at all. It's needless. It was just becoming a distraction. So I'm glad they just clarified it because, you guys, us, fans, everyone is wondering what is going on. So at least just be clear. If you don't want to say what the injury is, just be clear as to whether he's going to play or not. And obviously it's not.
All right.
Okay, so
you think it's a sneak? You think it's a little Tyler
Noodles
Bozak?
is sniffing that out. He sniffed
Jonas, all I did was I brought it up a couple hours ago saying, watching him skate this morning, he looked a little bit more comfortable. He looked smooth. He looked like he was getting full stride, all of that type of stuff. And I said to myself, the 2 things. If he looked decent and they announce it right away, why are they announcing it? So I went the other way going, can you announce something in the morning and then go, geez, he woke up from his nap, felt great, and bullied his way into the lineup? That's the only way. And I know that's probably 99.9% wrong.
Be amazing if
But I just threw out a 0.01, what if type of thing. That's why we were looking to verify with you.
I guess there's a 1% chance of that.
What a scene.
What is that even... is that throwing the Bruins into a panic? Obviously he's the best player on the Leafs, but what is it really what is it changing for them? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it's going to.
I think it's more the fans, Jonas. I agree with you that the Bruins are going to do what they're going to do. And this is like a WWE script. Like, it's not going to happen this way. But the idea of this guy just coming out flying and, Mike Ross announcing your starting lineup from Scottsdale, Arizona, that place would go bananas tonight, even though he's only missed one game. He's only missed one game. But let's work under the presumption that he's not playing. They stepped up for him the other night. How difficult do you think it'll be for them to do that again?
I mean, I guess it'll be more difficult just because Boston's going to have a different response, I would think. Like, you remember that first period in Game 5? The Leafs were all over them, like shift after shift after shift. You know what line was so key was the line that Matthews wasn't playing on. Like, Max Domi steps in that line with Marner and Bertuzzi, and, like, I thought of them like a little pack of hyenas. Like, they were just all over the puck. Domi was winning every faceoff. If they come out like that, I mean, obviously it's a different game, and that's not been the case in Toronto. I think part of why they've struggled in Toronto is that, and part of it is just you showing up to the games and throwing off the juju.
Although CJ just posted the pic, they still have my play card up there as if I'm going to be in attendance. And now you talk about conspiracy theories. People are like, wait a minute, are you lying that you're not coming? Because now, I'm going to sneak into the back
beard
door.
and a mustache there.
Maybe they need to do like a ceremony where they burn your placard.
Right.
And they never let you back.
That's exactly what they have to do. But, I'm not going. I'm telling you, I will not be there. I will be in the studio. I'm not going down there tonight. It's not going to happen, Jonas, which means if they win and then they come back and win the series, I'm screwed. But I've already proclaimed this. I'll be there in the future. You will not keep me out of that building for Game 3 if they play the Panthers in the next round. Joseph Woll, I think it's asking a lot to just say, dude, you might have to stand on your head here. But Edmonton was having some Binnington vibes. Like, he was kind of referencing Binnington back in 19. The thing is, Binnington showed up just into the new year, right?
In January.
In January. Although Wall's been with the team all year.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like this is a kid that he was up with the Marlies from a week ago. He has been a Maple Leaf the whole season. But is it fair to put 70-80% of the workload on his shoulders and say you just got to get it done here if need be?
It kind of feels to me like if he doesn't play like he did the other night, I don't want to say they can't win, but they're going to have a really difficult time winning just because I don't think they're going to score a lot. Like, even that game the other night, they get 2, and that's been the whole series. Like, aside from Game 2, when they get 3, they're just struggling to generate a ton, and obviously their power play is part of that. I thought their power play actually kind of showed a little something. I think it was their second power play of Game 5, where it's like, there's something there. And Sheldon Keefe talked about it this morning, like how many chances they're generating and everything like that. But, like, ultimately no one cares if you don't score. But I just don't know that they're going to be able to score that much. So if he gives up 3, like, I don't see them. Do you see them scoring 4? Like,
well, I mean, at some point that's got to it's got to change, right? Like, we've been saying coming into this, Jonas, like, they've lost 6 in a row at Scotiabank. That has to change at some point. It will at some point. Now I sound like John Schneider. It will. I'm going to tell you it will. But also, like, 11 straight playoff games, I believe it is, or 12 now, where they've scored 3 or fewer, and 11 of those it's been 2 or fewer. Like, that doesn't make statistical sense, right? Like, at some point, because it's a two-way street. Obviously, they are not creating enough, but that means they're facing, like, Bobrovsky stood on his head.
Right.
Vasilevsky at the end of the Tampa series did too. They won Game 6, 2-1 in overtime.
Like, you could look at
exactly. Like, they've run into goalies who have been outstanding. Swayman's been great. They are due for a guy like Swayman to show up tonight and just not have it, right? Like, it's and you can't be banking on that.
No, you can't bank.
You can't go in there and say that's just going to happen because I think it will happen.
Right.
But, like, it is sports. These are humans. Like, if that's the storyline at the end of the game, that would not be overly surprising if we look back and said, you know what, Swayman just didn't play that well tonight. And he gave up 2 bad goals and they won 5-2.
Right.
Like, that's kind of, if you're a fan, that's certainly what you're hoping for, because at some point, one of these levies has got to break.
The only thing I would say, actually 2 things I would say, just to play devil's advocate, I think you're right, that at some point it will change. The only things are, like, those are different teams. Like, I don't like connecting last year's team to this year's team to the team like 2 years ago. Like, they're different teams. Like, I look at them right now and it's like, who do I think should be able to score? And it's like, I look at 2 lines, right? one of those, like, it's got to be the Tavares line or it has to be the Domi line. Can those lines score? For sure they can. They just, like, it just hasn't happened a ton this series where they're getting a lot. And that's the only thing with Swayman. It's like, yeah, he's been good, but it's not like Boston's really given up much. Like, they're not getting anything inside. Like, it almost feels like there's like this force field around the inside and the Leafs just can't break through. Like, they had a little bit going that way in Game 5, but it's not been a lot. But you're right. A team that has the second most goals in the NHL during the regular season should theoretically score a lot, but they're also missing 69 goals from their lineup. So I don't know. Like, the power play and Woll, to me, would be the two things, because I don't know what their penalty kill is going to give them. And so if they can get a power play goal and the goaltending is good on their end, they have a chance.
What do you make of the Leafs D overall?
I mean, I don't know that they've gotten a lot. Like, Benoit's had his issues, right? Like, you and I are probably in the same boat on Benoit. He's had his issues moving the puck.
Yeah.
But that pair, like, they're facing Pasternak, and I don't know if there's, like, an injury with Pasternak, but they really haven't given up much at all. Like, that's the thing. Like, defensively in this series, they played pretty well. I haven't really liked that Edmondson-Liljegren pair very much, and the numbers are pretty bad. But, like, you look at it generally 5-on-5, they've been the better team. It's just their penalty kill has been really bad, and their power play has been really bad, and the goaltending has been second best. So, like, I don't know, like, defensively, like, that hasn't really been the issue. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I don't think the Leafs have been caved in at any point.
No.
Like,
I just, my whole thing is, I think they've done a good job, but yeah, again, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. My concern is if they've got to get these forwards the puck.
Yes.
That's I think teams that win, their D, even if they're big and strong, they've got to be able to move the puck and get it to the forwards with speed through the neutral zone so they can get going the other way. That's the only thing. And you're right. Like, numbers don't lie. I think, there's been times where Edmondson and Liljegren have struggled and they've moved the puck side to side instead of just advancing it. But if they're able to get through this series, like, Florida forechecks like hell. Like, if you want to go on a run, your D has to find a way to get the puck to those forwards quickly. And I don't know if there's a solution there or if it's just by committee. That's my whole trepidation coming into it is who's moving the puck so that Willie can get the neutral zone with speed. Who's got that first pass that, launches somebody. Now, Edmondson had a great pass the other day that found Willie down the wall, and Willie hit the crossbar short side. That was a great outlet pass. It was a great heads-up play by Edmondson in the second period. But do they have guys that can do that consistently, that can make that one play? Like last night, I'm watching Dallas and Vegas. Pietrangelo had that pass through the middle to Stone, and that sent in Stevenson, or who had that
Stevenson
break?
all alone right at the end of the game.
3 minutes left.
Yep.
You need one play. That's a quick pass from your defenseman to hit a guy with speed through the middle. That might be the difference, and I don't know if they've got that consistently from the back end. That's the only thing, and that's a bigger picture thing. It's not a tonight thing. It's more like, you look at that.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you can expect to change into tonight. What I would say is I think the Leafs clean that up on the road going the other way. Right. Like at home, JVR's had multiple breakaways. Yeah. Pasternak's been in alone. Marchand, Pasternak were in on a 2-on-0 the other night. Like, there's been more breakdowns, Jonas, at home defensively for the Leafs. Like, all this focus on the offense, and obviously it has really struggled. But I find the way they've defended on the road has been substantially better than the way they've defended at home.
Well, can I just add one thing about the offense? You look at their defense and who's going to create anything besides Riley. And we look at Riley in the series, like, think back to last year in the playoffs, and even like the year before that, like, he was their best player probably in both of those series, and like, it's been quieter for him. And you look at that back end, it's like, who's going to, like, we talk about the offense, they get nothing from their defense. And I think that's part of it. But yeah, I don't know what the issue is at home ice. Like, I don't know. Do you think it's an atmosphere thing? Do you think it's a mentality thing? Like, I don't know what it is, but the building in Boston feels different. And I don't know if that's because of the atmosphere there. Like, they've won a lot there, whether it's the Bruins, whether it's the Celtics, the Patriots. I mean, the whole deal.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Like, there's just a different energy in the building in Toronto where the players almost reflect the fans, or the fans almost reflect the players, where it's tight, it's tense, and it's not. I don't know. Maybe that changes. Maybe it only changes when they finally win.
Possibly, yeah. And yet that can't be an excuse tonight. Like if you come out flat, there's just no excuse for that. Like the players have they've given themselves an opportunity at redemption for the way they played Game 4. Right. That's what's available tonight.
Well, and Jonas, talking about Boston, did you sense that the the Bruins were tight the other day to start the game?
Felt like it. Mm-hmm. I mean, how could they not be thinking back to, Montgomery has basically talked about it, like Dave talked about it. How can they not be thinking back to last year and what happened? Like, they're up 3-1 on Florida, and then the series, I think it was 2 overtime games, I think, and then obviously Game 7 was, maybe it was Game 6 that was crazy. But I don't know how they can't be thinking about it, and it's a different team, right? They don't have Bergeron, they don't have Krejci.
Right.
They don't have, if you think of them, we talk about the job the Leafs have done defensively, Boston doesn't have a lot that's going to scare you, right? It's Pasternak, it's Marchand, and their power play has just been better. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they're feeling a little bit tight. And obviously, if the Leafs can get the game tonight, then you wonder how they feel going back for 7.
Big time pressure, completely shifting. He is Jonas Siegel of the Athletic. Enjoy it down there. I will not see you, Jonas. I will not see you tonight.
I will send you a picture of your placard.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, buddy.
See you, boys.
Chat soon. There's Jonas Siegel. Placard.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I thought I said play card, but I think it's placard.
I think
Jonas would know.
Yeah.
He's a scholar. Jonas is a scholar. Yeah, he'll be down there tonight.
Yeah.
So, my placard is down there, yet I won't be. But I will be in the next round if and when that happens. And, listen, the Leafs, you got to keep off the board is Trent Frederick. Yeah. This guy's Cam Neely all of a sudden.
Well, he grew up with Joseph Woll.
Yeah, they're buddies.
They're buddies and scores on him all the time.
Yeah. He's got 3 in the series, and they've been massive goals. And he was in all alone in Game 5.
Yeah.
On top of that, Trent Frederick, that's what's happening. It's not the Pasternak. Marchand was unbelievable in Games 3 and 4.
3 and
Incredible.
4. He took control.
Yes, he did. And Pasternak has a couple of goals, but Pasternak, Marchand. Even the offense from the Boston's blue line, McAvoy has it, but he's not overly flashy.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that's going to be up in the rush and leading the rush. Or
he's just a clean player.
He's just a really good, predictable, clean player.
Yeah.
But, Grzelcyk, guys like that, they don't scare you offensively. Brandon Carlo scored in Game 1. He hadn't scored in a year and a half or something like that. It felt that way anyway.
Yeah, actually, I think he scored against the Leafs in the regular season. But before that, it was he gets 2 goals a year.
Yeah, and they're against the Leafs. It's been depth players that have scored for them. And if it's not going to be the Marner line, the Tavares line tonight, then Pontus Holmberg better chip in. David Kampf better snap out of it. Kampf is a guy who scored goals in the past in the playoffs.
Yeah,
got to show up. All right, Mike Johnson will join us around the table. Get his take on the Oilers' win last night. What happens Vegas-Dallas moving forward? Vancouver in action tomorrow, and we'll continue to tee up Game 6 tonight. Leafs-Bruins at 8 p.m. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Leafs-Bruins tonight, Game 6. You got the Knicks down in Philly looking to close out the Sixers tonight. The Pacers at home looking to close out the Bucks. Dame will play. Giannis will not. Mike Johnson in studio. Got 3 big playoff games tonight, Johnny.
How about the end of that Knicks-Sixers game?
Crazy.
Pull up 35-footer with time.
Yeah.
He could have gone 7 more feet to get.
Yeah.
I know.
Without a spot, he got to a spot. That
game was over. And
unreal. And the New York,
the Garden, too.
I've been around New York a little bit. The Knicks are the crowd, the city is getting really behind the Knicks and the Rangers.
Yeah.
And I think there's a real sense of what they could do.
Right.
I could just imagine just the wind out of the sails after that.
Man, because
dagger.
Especially with their history, right? The Knicks, I'm sure Knicks fans are thinking they could easily throw this away.
Right away. As soon as they lose that game, you're like, oh,
here we go.
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, they're playing Philly, too, and it's the same kind of story with the Sixers. They can't get over the top either. But that'd be pretty wild. Game 7 going back to the Garden. Because when will the Rangers and Hurricanes
I was thinking about this.
Get going, I guess, right?
Well, they
start Monday, Tuesday type of thing?
At the latest.
Would they wait that long? Yeah.
I would think they would start. If the Leafs lose tonight,
you got to get started.
There's no game on Saturday. There are no games.
Right.
Well, there could be a couple game 7s on Sunday. So, like, I would if the Leafs lose tonight, if I was the league, I'd announce Rangers Carolina first game on Saturday.
Yeah.
And if they win, then Leafs can be then Monday.
Right, Monday.
Right. Assuming the Garden's open. I mean, maybe the Knicks will be playing game 7 tonight if they lose tonight.
Billy Joel concert or something.
It could be something going on.
Yeah.
True. But, yeah, you might as well get going.
Those guys be sitting around.
This first round has taken too long. I'm sorry. I know there's buildings.
They're all fast series.
They're fast series, but they were spread out. Yeah. Like the Leafs played one game. The Leafs Boston played one game in like 5 days, it felt like. It's too much. Like it was like, I looked at the schedule. It was like 16 days for the first round if everything played out.
Yeah.
It's too much.
You're going to blame the TV companies.
I'm blaming the league. I'm blaming the TV companies, which we're part of.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Because you want, like, you want it every that's
other
what the
night
first
is
round is about. Every night. Let's go. First
but
round.
They can't do it anymore because of the shared buildings.
I get it. It just, it's been a slow, it's like a slow bleed out on some of these. You're like,
how would you feel though if you're a team that's through? Like if you're the Rangers, you
feel like they've been off for 2 weeks already.
Like the Washington series didn't even register if you're a Ranger fan. You're just like, they're going to smoke this team, and they did.
And the players. Like,
no one got hurt. Like nothing happened. Yeah.
Sort of just like it existed in a vacuum. Now it's gone. Wipe the hard drive. Now it's like they're starting the playoffs again.
That's what it would feel like, I would think. If you're Laviolette, you almost are like a new training camp.
You're running training camp right now. You're going like 3 days, day off, 2 days, day off.
That might hurt them.
Game 1, it would.
Because you turn it off. You're mental. You ramp it up, and then when you're going from series to series, you just keep that high going. If you've got this long break, who had the long break last year? Was it Florida?
Florida did.
Florida.
Yes.
After they swept Carolina,
and they never recovered.
Right?
They went to the Cup final, and
didn't they have 9 days off?
9 or 10 days between the conference final and the Cup final,
and they never recovered.
Didn't help them get healthy, which is the best part about sweeping teams, right? No wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to use that card in the first round. Like you want it later when guys are starting to accumulate injuries if you can.
Well, there's enough injuries in the first round for the Leafs.
That's true.
Or whatever's going on.
I mean, that's the crazy thing about what's happened here with it's every single game. Nylander for the first 3, Matthews for the next 2. It's just every game you're like, is this guy going to play?
Has Nylander looked? He hasn't looked quite fully right.
No, I thought,
last game I thought he was close.
Better. Yes, close. Improved.
He had the breakaway kind of off the angle pass from Edmonton.
Yeah. That was out of the box, I think.
Yeah, that was the closest I'd seen him to having a little bit of jump and flash.
You know what he's been doing? He's been falling a lot. Like
his edge work, stop back.
Game 4, the first 3 shifts, he felt like.
Which is not him.
No.
No.
Like he can turn up ice like nobody's business. And he did the same thing the other night. He actually killed. They kind of had a cycle going, and Willie blew a wheel one of his first 2 shifts.
It was up high in the zone.
Yeah, and you're like, Willie, what are you doing here, man? Like that's, I don't know, is that sharpness? Is that, I don't know what that is in terms of his body and how he's feeling, where he's at with his mental state. But
don't you have to settle into the cadence of, like Boston, there's not a lot of space out there. Their gaps are really tight. So I've noticed a few times Marner looking to make a play, and it's like, that's not available.
That space is not open.
That's not like Boston kind of, it's weird. They've got layers that just kind of converge on you. So you've got to move the puck quickly and maybe find some space. But I've noticed with Mitch, and same thing with Willie, he's tried to wind it up a little bit. There's just you can't wind it up. There's no space.
Circling back to wind it up against Boston, I don't care who you are, if you're McDavid or anybody, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because once they get in their set, they're very organized.
So it's interesting you bring that up. McDavid, outside of the power play, there wasn't a lot of space, really quiet. But I think he was fine with it because he would try and wind it up and then go through, and then all of a sudden 4 guys would converge and they push him off, or he'd get hit, somebody stop up on him. But I felt like he would try that a couple times a game to go, okay, is there anything here? Nothing
just
here.
Probing, not yet. Not yet.
Just kind of probing to see, okay, is somebody going to miss me here? But he didn't try it every shift because he realized it wasn't available to him. I thought he played a really conservative first round.
Just waiting for the power play.
Yeah, which was smart.
Waiting for the power play.
Pretty good.
He piled up 11 points.
Time.
Yeah, 12. He got a goal and 11 assists.
11 assists and a goal. And 2 goals last night or 2 nights ago were just as penalties expired.
Right.
3 seconds after.
They had 9 power play goals. Really, they had 11 in
Yeah.
actuality.
Can that continue for Edmonton, though?
No.
Like, you're going to run into a team that saws you off on the
but not,
kill, I would
they're not
think.
going to be 55%.
Yeah,
because
it's
you
not
add those
possible.
2 goals in, that's 11 for 17 they
Yeah.
would have been.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to get
No,
that.
but they can chug along. Well, they did a whole season at 31%.
Right. They did.
And you almost always think, Nils, you're a coach, you're a goalie coach. You always think the more prepared you are, the more it favors defense.
Right.
Like the more, like you can prep a power play and prep a penalty kill.
Right.
Equal prep favors the penalty kill because it just,
Right.
defense is easier to be organized with. I almost wonder though, once that first unit gets a sense of what a team does, what it feels like the way they kill, time favors the Oilers. The more they see a team, the more likely they're going to solve that riddle.
Well, and the scary part about it is, I don't know if you guys picked up on this. They weren't coming off the ice. It was full 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Full Ovi
Full 2
Ovi
minutes.
treatment.
For all
that.
of them.
As
and
it should be. Why not?
It was full 2 minutes, and they get in. It fired down. Okay, let's reset. McDavid skates it in. No problem. He gets you in. But I thought it was interesting. I was at game 1 and just listened to his comments. I was at the press conference. I just kind of fly on the walls in the back. And he said something was really interesting. He said, you know, we got a lot. Like, we got a lot of plays. And he said, yeah, we've got some stuff up our sleeve. It's almost like, because they had an opportunity. One, I don't know if it was a 5-on-3, where both him and Draisaitl were behind the net.
Yeah.
And they went D to D behind the net and then started looking at options. And then I've noticed in the last couple games, McDavid was skated in. If he tries to go short side, bank it off the goalie's head, it's not available. He skates around. He's tried to wrap it a few times. Now he's forcing everyone to sink. So now he fakes that. RNH slides in, and Draisaitl's on the second layer.
Wow.
And he hits him with that. Like, they've got so many options.
And it all runs through him.
And it runs
does,
through him.
but it runs through him from different spots on the ice all the time. He's not always on his half wall looking at 1, 2, 3. The one, and I don't know if you watch any of the sort of behind the scenes YouTube stuff, but like when they mic each other up,
Yeah.
they're always like, we doing this, we doing that. They're calling plays in the power play. And the idea of him circling from the offensive left side around the net on his forehand and then up to the offensive right side, he loves doing that. And he'll take it right all the way around and he'll like, whatever, I'll slide it. Like I'll go to any one of the 5 options that are open.
Yeah.
But he goes behind the net to get all the defensive players down towards the net, staring at him below the goal line, and not really sure what's happening behind. Anyways, it's a really unique thing, that idea of him sort of attacking from behind the goal line, up around the top of the circle, and then just taking whatever fits his fancy.
Too, because the other night they've set up the Draisaitl, so he's scoring from on the goal line, and the other night McDavid throws it to Draisaitl, so everyone sags that. Draisaitl fires it back through the middle for Bouchard's one-timer.
Right.
That was the difference in the game.
Yeah.
Right there. And it was everyone in the building's like, from the kill, it's like, it's going over there. We know it's going over there.
Diving over there, blocking
Diving
shots,
over there,
getting
and
away.
Draisaitl goes back.
Right.
You know, like they're playing checkers right now, or chess, and everyone's checkers.
You also wonder,
that's
like,
literally what's
It's
going
incredible in Edmonton.
You're watching the Leafs, who have great players of their own. And Matthews not in the lineup, whatever. But like, it would be so frustrating if you're a Leaf power play coach. You're Guy Boucher, and you're watching the highlights of Colorado and Edmonton absolutely decimating teams on the power play.
Right.
And you have your players who are immensely talented, and you can't. It would be so frustrating. But one thing they don't have, I think this is important when you think about the Leafs power play, especially with Matthews out, McKinnon and McDavid, human zone entries. Every time they can skate it in.
Yeah.
They get set up.
Right.
They don't spend a minute, 20 seconds going back to get the puck 3 times.
Right.
Like they make cleared once, but those guys get right back in. They very rarely go a power play minute without getting set up.
Right.
And the Leafs, Willie is the closest guy to that.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's not been in the series or not on, that's they can't get in, can't get set up.
Right. Well, and also, you know, like the role that Draisaitl plays, and we saw him last night. Like he can score from any angle. He gets something on every single shot. He doesn't even have to have his feet set, and he can pick anywhere he wants to pick. You know, you look at Colorado, I think Makar is a weapon. Obviously, you've got
no point
McKinnon's
shot.
a weapon.
No
That's
point
the issue
shot.
with the
Bouchard,
Leafs.
Makar, right?
Like there's no point shot, and then when you take Matthews out of it, like no one thinks Marner's going to shoot, and if he does, they're happy with it. Tavares is never in a position where he has enough time and space to shoot.
Right.
If Bertuzzi's playing in front of the net, that's where he's going to be.
Hacking and whacking.
It's basically got to be Willie. Like
Right.
you have to feed Willie, and I would think that they're planning on that tonight. Like you got to find him and let him at least challenge Swayman and the Bruins and make them collapse.
Yeah.
Because like that's the modern power play, right? It's all about lanes and freeing things up, and the Leafs just can't do that right now.
They got no one who can score on their nobody can score with regularity from 35 feet.
Right.
Without Auston Matthews, other than Will. And that it makes it challenging, makes it easier.
Yeah, but if you get ugly, then you score the McCabe goal. And I know that wasn't a power play, but it's like, hey, get it back, find a way to get it through, get it down, chip away, rebound, elevate, like all of that type of stuff. But easier said than done, because I come back to what you said, which is so true. The setup, getting in, getting set up. Like sometimes it's taken them 40 seconds to do that. Yeah. Where, McKinnon and McDavid just skated, like that's a 12-second transaction, if that, maybe less, and they're in. Like but the threat of a one-timer too, I think is important. If you establish the shot, at least you're going to use it. Like Bouchard, Makar walk the line. They've got a big shot from the back end. So that'll stretch your penalty kill out a little bit too. Penalty kill's not been stretched out. They've been pretty tight diving.
Well, when you watch the Leafs play, they actually like to shrink the zone. Their power play likes to creep down.
Right.
So even by design, everyone is always drifting towards the net.
Right.
Getting tighter, which gets them closer, but also tightens up the lanes because they're not quite so spread out. So
right.
Tonight's fascinating to me. Fascinating given the history of the Leafs and what happened last game, history against Boston. But no Auston Matthews, and yet I like their chances. I don't think it's a guarantee. It's not much more than a toss-up, but I don't think they're like a massive underdog at all.
No.
It is even money or better in my opinion,
I agree
that they can win tonight's game. Now, we were talking before. I almost see no situation in which the Leafs win comfortably, where they win by 3 or 4 goals.
Right.
But you could see a situation where it goes the other way if Boston gets out and it gets away from them.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to stay tight, and the Leafs scoring. I saw your little top 3 scoring first to me.
Massive.
Like for the team, for the energy in the building, all of that.
Right.
A little, just a little buffer.
I think it's imperative
in case Joseph Woll gives up one, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Just getting one early where you're like, okay, we get to breathe would be huge.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's imperative tonight. I think because of the energy and the history here, right? Like the Stat Center just sent out a tweet. The Leafs are 5-16 at home since 2019. So in their last 21 playoff games at home, 5-16. If they lose, that's crazy.
So what would the bare minimum for a decent team at home in 21 games? Bare minimum 11-10. Bare minimum.
I think that would be disappointing.
Right, that's the
500.
minimum.
Yeah, minimum. That's we're not happy, but okay, it happened.
You know what the narrative around this team would be if they were 11-10 at home?
Well, they
would have won 5
round
series
by now or something.
They would have made the Stanley Cup final in the bubble year.
That's right.
Like it's crazy what 500 would have given the Leafs in the last 7 years at home.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, and to put that into perspective, again, in a 22-game playoff span as a home team, only the Bruins from 92 through 99 lost 17 of 22 at home. So if the Leafs were to do that tonight, they would match the longest run of
worst run of futility in 22 games at home ever.
Yeah. And the Bruins did that over like 7 or 8 seasons. The Leafs are going to do this over like 5. Yeah. Like that's
as a good team.
As a team with high expectations.
They're not some team that made it Washington minus 50 goal differential.
Right.
They've been a good team.
Yes.
They've been the favorite in.
And again, they pushed it to 7 all the time they've won around, which speaks to what they've done on the road.
Right.
Like they're 2-1 at the TD Garden in this round.
And road proficiency you would think would be a greater test, for example, of a team's overall quality.
Right. Their character, their ability to get things
Their
done.
toughness.
Toughness, mental,
you know what?
everything.
You can dissect, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's been a lot of numbers, but I guess my question would be, who do the numbers apply to? Because Max Domi wasn't here. And Bertuzzi.
No scar tissue on those guys.
Edmondson,
the only players.
guys, like, it's really Morgan, like the only players in the game tonight. Who does it apply to?
The 5 guys.
Yeah.
5 guys.
Well, 4 with Auston.
And the guy behind the bench. Like Keefe got here in 19, 20.
But like that's
like Sheldon's got to own that too.
Like Pontus Holmberg sees that stat and
no, they wouldn't even be aware of that.
It doesn't matter.
They're not aware of that. But you know who is aware of it? The guy who's had season tickets for 45 years.
Agreed.
And has been going to all of these games.
Right.
And it's like they've won 5 of the last.
Tasted like even if it was flipped.
Yes.
Like if the road record was the home record and the home record was the road record, I bet Leaf fans in general would be like far more satisfied.
Yes.
With what the team was doing in the playoffs, even if they weren't winning.
It is a wild scene down there. Like I've experienced it. The last time it happened, the first time it happened. I was in the building, Game 6 against Washington 8 years ago. Remember Matthews scored off the stanchion. The place went crazy. And then Washington, that was their cup year. They're like, that's enough. Like they just basically, I think maybe they didn't win the cup for another couple of years. But they were a really good team that year. Willie was on that team.
Scored a weird goal on Freddie from the side.
Yeah.
That was kind of your game winner.
Yes, it was. It was late, and then they just took over and dominated. And walking out of there, I remember thinking, okay, this is the beginning of something. Like this is Matthews, the rookie, and Marner and Nylander, but still a deflating vibe. It was like a Monday night. And then I was there when Cousins closed it last year. And that was like, I can't believe this ended already. They just beat Tampa, it felt like 2 days ago.
Hadn't even gotten over the celebration.
Hadn't even got over the celebration of, wow, the monkey's off your back and you've already lost again.
Right.
And obviously they lost all 3 games at home against Florida. And that was like a shock. Like there were just zombies walking out of there. And I don't know what it's going to be like tonight because I think there'll be forced optimism. People will be in the building and they'll be happy. And it's a Thursday night. Weather's beautiful. Why not? It's the Bruins. You got a chance to push it to 7, which will be incredible. And if they do that, the hype train will be out of control between now and Saturday night.
And the pressure really doesn't flip, but it also applies to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
From 2 years, like I don't think I've read and heard people saying, well, Boston, they looked nervous because they were thinking about they were up 3-1 last year. I don't think any Bruin walked into Game 5 2 nights ago nervous, like, what if we blow this? Not at all. They're like, no, we're playing the Leafs. We're up 3-1. We're delighted.
Right.
But if they lose tonight, then the prospect of doing 3-1 blown series 2 years in a row, that starts to weigh.
Well,
yes.
It has to.
Boston will eat their own. Like
and Boston can turn inward.
They can get loud and vicious, and they have high expectations.
Their coach has been a little ornery the last couple of days.
Yeah, Monty's been. He's trying to change it up because I think even him going back and forth, Swayman Ulmark, which eventually came to an end, changing the lineup going into Game 5. These sounded and felt like premeditated events, and I'm curious if the team's buying it. Like there was a report that came out of the Suns room where Frank Vogel, I guess, blew up on the Suns down the stretch, and no one bought it. They're like, that's manufactured, man. Like not buying it. Which again, and then they get swept and they look like losers, and the players probably should be like, maybe Frank Vogel, who's got a ring, maybe you should have listened to him. But I do wonder if the Bruins are like, this isn't really you, man.
Yeah.
Like I know you've talked about this all year. If we get up 3-1, this is what I have to do. Because he keeps talking about learning lessons. That's not only the players, that's Montgomery too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's probably drawn on what he did last year, his disposition, his approach, and he's like, I'm going to change it. Is it selling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is it landing?
I've been in teams where I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Maybe not in the playoffs, but like throughout the regular season, you're like,
no,
I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. Did you read that in the Newt Rocky speech last night?
You were on YouTube last night. That's no way, man. That's an Al Pacino.
Real. But the other one, like the other part about the Bruins, though, when you think about them, the last 2 seasons, they've not had any adversity. They've been so good until Game 6 and Game 7 last year, the first round, which I'm sure they assume they're going to win. Like at no point did they think they were losing to Florida.
Not last year.
Even in Game 7.
No.
Right. So, and then this year they roared out of the gates. They were home ice the entire season. They haven't had any, like, I'm not saying it's easy. They play hard for it, but there's been no adversity.
Wow.
And I wonder if like Montgomery's like dialing it up earlier, like let's ratchet up the pressure.
How quickly it can change.
I think it's going to be fine.
I did a game there a couple of weeks ago, right at the end of the season. And he was saying, we're not ready for the playoffs.
Right.
We haven't dialed it up here. Like he was pressing on them. I think Boston plays with urgency tonight.
I expect
see what
that
the Leafs have.
I'd be surprised if they
I think there's going to be an urgent game.
I agree.
Well, they're a good team. They should.
Yeah, they probably will. All right, Johnny, we'll catch you on the panel.
Are you going to the game tonight?
No, I'm not.
Banned.
No, I'm not.
Leaf Nation has banned.
Yeah. I won't be there. I have
and if
other
they
priorities.
Win, you may never
I know.
be invited to a playoff game again.
If they win tonight, it's going to be trouble.
Curtains.
But I'm going down. I will be in that building again. I guarantee you.
It's not an elimination game.
Possibly not. Good seeing
Exactly.
you. Mike Johnson. We'll get to our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. We'll do that next. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Makes your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Morgan Riley, 1+ points tonight. He's a big game player. But he was pretty good the other night. You know, defensively, he's been fine. Like, It hasn't been like he's caught out of position or anything like that. But I think he needs to be a driver of play. He is capable of that. Yep. I think Morgan Riley shows up tonight. Over 1.5 first-period goals tonight. That's collectively both teams. I see it 1-1. I could see them both coming out flying tonight. William Nylander, 4+ shots. We said it all afternoon. He's got to be big tonight. He's got to be big tonight. So those are your best bets. There's your parlay for the game tonight. Powered by FanDuel. FanDuel's goal in the first 10 minutes is the most electric bet in hockey and can be included in a same-game parlay on any NHL game. Please play responsibly, 18+. Physically located in Ontario. Okay, Leafs Bruins tonight. Here we go. Game 6. One way or another. Tomorrow, we're either breaking down a win and teeing up a Game 7, or we're looking back on a disappointing series, breaking down the season and looking ahead to the offseason.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? One way or the other. It's going
to be a big show tomorrow.
Pretty electric tomorrow, for sure. All right, thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. Radio, TV, podcast, web, we appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.